What's up, guys? Welcome to Crowd Culture. Sometimes we ask weird questions, but this week we're asking, what's the best movie trilogy?
I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty sweet. First of all, it's been a while, but
It's been longer than we expected.
it's been quite some time. But you know, we're coming back just like you remember us. Almost
Nothing looks different.
Nothing has changed at all. Neither physically nor where we are, nor how we sound.
This looks and sounds exactly the same as our previous episode.
So it's the exact same crowd culture. So I'm glad you guys are back.
Thanks for sticking with us, the people who have. And for any new viewers or listeners, I'm Edwin Prime.
And I'm Chris.
Just Chris.
Just Chris.
And we like to ask questions about movies, video games, sports, pop culture, all that stuff. And like I said, this week we're talking about movie trilogies. And I think this is a very divisive question. I think people have their favorites.
We have to set ground rules.
What's the ground rules?
All right.
There can only be 3 films, period.
There can only be 3 films in the entirety of the saga.
Okay.
Of the singular story.
Okay.
So
Star Wars doesn't count.
Star Wars is out.
Okay.
Instantly.
So we don't count the first.
There's like, there's a prequel trilogy and there's the original. No. It's episode 6 is where it starts. I'm like, or 4.
4 starts in 4,
but
yeah.
it goes up to 6 and then it goes back. And I'm like,
Are we counting like for the people that
now,
like the Lord of the Rings? Does a Hobbit count?
I count The Hobbit
Okay.
because in itself it is its own prequel trilogy
Okay.
of following a different character.
Okay. Because that's like the Bilbo Baggins saga. And
And
then
Frodo
saga
is the next one.
Okay.
So
Lord of the Rings is out.
Hobbit and Lord of the Rings count because it's a different story.
Oh, because we're following 2 different characters.
Yeah, the other ones, though, Star Wars, we're almost always following Anakin's story through the first 6.
What about the
films.
new trilogy?
But
We're following Rey.
if you want to count it, I guess.
I mean,
Ultimately, I don't know. I just don't want to count it.
well, we won't. It muddies up the water too much.
It muddies up the water.
We'll keep it 3
already
films.
says it's 8 films, 9 films.
We're not. Yeah, and then
I'm
if you count Solo and Rogue One, we're counting
too
like
many movies,
like
too many
10, like
movies.
11 movies.
All
Or
right, so
something.
that's out.
Okay.
Let's see. If at the time of recording this, it can only be 3 films. So if there's an upcoming movie,
But it hasn't been
count
made
it.
yet.
But if it's already been made and another movie has happened, can't count it. So
Okay.
Toy Story out.
Toy Story's out because 4 just came
Probably the greatest trilogy ever. And then the 4th one came out, so I'm like,
out.
shit.
Okay, we can't count that. So John Wick counts because there's only 3 as of right now.
John Wick counts.
Okay.
If it is a reboot,
Doesn't count.
it counts.
It counts. Reboots count.
Reboots count because it's a new story. So Planet of the Apes. And
Okay. I love that's a really good trilogy to me. So that would probably be in my top 5 trilogy movies. Okay, reboots count. Do you have yours? You have the one you're
my
picking?
favorite?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want me to go first?
I'm curious. Well, I think I know where this is going.
We've talked about it before, but I mean the obvious answer to me is the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy, the Dark Knight trilogy. I think when Batman Begins first came out, a lot of people didn't like it because I think a lot of people have their own reservations for Christian Bale's Batman. I think he's great. I think he's one.
Batman,
I think he's one of, if not the best Batman.
Or if not the best Batman, the best Bruce Wayne we've ever had.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that's better Bruce Wayne. And Christopher Nolan, like we've said before, he's our favorite, if not one of our favorite directors and filmmakers. What he was able to do with The Dark Knight, just the whole trilogy of films, I think it's one cohesive story. I mean, who knows what would have been different if Heath Ledger wouldn't have passed away, but just for the story itself, it was very cohesive, and I think it's the best.
Best trilogy, hands down,
Yeah.
unassailable.
If there's other trilogies that I love along with the Dark Knight trilogy, but I mean, The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises by themselves are 2 of my favorite films of all time.
That's the big thing. Dark Knight Rises is my favorite film. It has everything I need.
I mean, Tom Hardy is Bane.
But unfortunately, as a trilogy, I love it to death.
Okay.
But I'm gonna try to be as partial as possible.
Okay.
Say there's a better trilogy out there.
Better trilogy. Now, when you say better trilogy, do you mean the story is more cohesive between all 3 films?
There's a couple things that led to me making this decision.
Okay.
All right. So I think. Do you want to guess? You want to guess where this is going?
Is it's a live action film. I'm guessing it's not like animated.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it recent? Is one of the movies
Yes.
sort of recent?
It's a modern.
Okay, it's
modern.
not John Wick, is it?
It is John Wick.
I mean,
John Wick is like the
you
best.
can't go wrong with that
Like,
movie.
people will go and say like Lord of the Rings is the best like trilogy of all time, and yeah, it's got critical acclaim and all these things. But John Wick is the best damn trilogy for me.
Okay.
Like, the big thing was in a trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm taking it as a whole thing,
Okay.
I think every movie should be as solid as possible.
Okay.
And that's the one caveat where Batman trilogy, I guess Batman Begins is a little weaker.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's not even that the story is like that weak. I just think it seems so much more dated compared to the newer films.
Okay. I could see
as
that.
far
I
as
guess.
like some of the effects, some of the things they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Was dope.
Mm-hmm.
But John Wick came out of nowhere.
It did.
And
It
I
surprised
think
everybody. Yeah.
having a first film that kind of like stands alone by itself,
Mm-hmm.
like if they don't get approved or, you know, they say, all right, we're doing like 6 more, having one film by itself that just is solid, I was like, all right, that's a great start.
Okay.
And then they went into the second one and then expanded the universe.
I see that. Okay.
And anything that builds off of like this singular idea and just creates something that I just want to live in.
It's
goes a long way.
very good filmmaking. I can't disagree.
And
I mean,
yeah,
but I will say though, Batman is at a disadvantage because everybody knows Batman's origin, so it's kind of hard to make a good origin movie for Batman because everybody knows how he started. So the fact that Christopher Nolan was able to make a pretty compelling beginning for Batman's origin, I think gives it more praise because everybody can think of, okay, Batman's parents died and we know how this starts. Most people want just to get to the good stuff and get to the other stuff. They wanted to see Joker and all these other people. But the fact that Christopher Nolan decided to know we're going to go from the beginning so we can tell this whole story with Ra's al Ghul and how that comes back into the third movie and stuff like that, which that's why I think the whole trilogy as a whole is very cohesive because it calls back to the first.
I'm gonna go with like an analogy here that's
Go
very
for it.
timely.
Go for it.
To me, the Batman series is like the Jordan Bulls. You got 2 just unassailable all-time
Okay.
like things, like for me.
Okay.
And if you want to put the Dark Knight as the Jordan, sure.
Okay.
It's got, you know, Oscar-winning Heath Ledger. It's up there as one of the greatest films of all time. It made superhero movies like a serious thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I was like, all right, fine, make that the Jordan.
Okay.
Pippin is the Dark Knight Rises. You got, you know, Tom Hardy as Bane. You got amazing performances.
Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway's in there. Let's not forget Morgan Freeman throughout.
Awesome.
Michael Caine. Like, you got
Michael Caine.
You got a
That's
whole-
so good. I
a
forgot.
lineup of just Hall of Famers right there. So I was like, all right, that movie's pretty good too. And then Batman Begins. It has its moments. So I guess, you know, it could be that horror.
There's Liam Neeson in it.
It could be that, you know, Dennis Rodman type. It's got great, solid defense and fundamentals. But when it comes to dunking,
Get into the ship.
getting that last bucket, it comes up, you know, you're gonna have to pass the ball. So it passes the ball to a better film.
Okay, I could
which
see
is,
that.
You know, lends the assist
Okay.
to the Dark Knight.
Can you name anybody in the first John Wick movie besides John Wick?
See, now, this is where John Wick movies come in.
Okay.
Doesn't matter who's in the John Leguizamo's in it.
Legs is in the movie. He's in the movie for 2 minutes.
Doesn't matter. It's amazing.
Legs is in the movie for 2 minutes.
Highlight of my year. So we go John Wick series. I don't think. I don't know where the peak is for John Wick here.
I think all the movies are
very,
very
very
even.
good.
Yeah. Well, the second one, I think the first half of the second one is kind of.
So I dare say, for me, since it's my favorite trilogy right now,
Go for it.
it's
Yeah.
2017 Warriors.
Oh my God.
It's just Hall of Fame performances all the way through.
How? There's only like. Okay,
There's
so
heat
John
checks.
Wick is a Steph Curry.
So to me, the ship that, you know, guides us is the first John Wick. It sets everything up.
Okay,
The
yeah.
dog story. So yeah, it's a Steph Curry. You can't have the rest of these pieces without the Steph Curry.
I agree.
So John Wick 2, I think, is the Klay Thompson. It just comes in, drops 60 points, 37 points
In a quarter.
it freaking lights the place on fire. It leaves you at the end going, what the hell just happened?
Pretty much.
And, you know, it walks away with a chip already. You know, it's already established that this shit is amazing.
Okay.
And then the third one comes in, and
we add Kevin Durant.
And it just goes, how much better can we make this? And some people go, it's not as good as the other one, or it's just action. And I go, that it's just more amazing. Like
True.
it's going levels above, and yeah, it's just amazing.
Are we saying like adding Kevin Durant in the movie is the equivalent because he added Boban Marjanovic?
Exactly.
So
Boban is Kevin Durant.
He was exactly also in the movie for a minute.
You give me a minute of Boban, you give me some Lawrence Fishburne, some legs.
They did have the guys from the raid at the end of the movie.
The guys from the raid. You get
awesome.
Everything you want. So, you know.
And they did have, they had the guy from Only the Strong. I forget his name. The guy who was obsessed with him, the bald guy.
Essentially right there, like Sean Livingston and
what? No, that's
Jordan
not.
Bell and Draymond, all them lumped together and all. It's you get a few minutes and good performances throughout. It becomes just unassailable.
I agree that the John Wick movies as of right now are one of the best trilogies. I just think that story-wise, the connection of all... I think the second movie doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the first movie. Like, if the second movie came out on its own, it'd be a great movie, but I think for it to be a good trilogy, each film has to be great, and they all have to connect well with each other to make the trilogy as a whole be considered one of the best trilogies.
So are you saying the second movie is more the Kevin Durant? where
No, the last movie has to be Kevin Durant because they added so many people and the production value went up like crazy. 7. But I mean they add Halle Berry and dogs.
Right, it is the Kevin Durant. The third one is
it has to be the Kevin Durant.
Some crazy shit.
It's crazy shit. I mean,
I'm not saying it's got the greatest performances and it reaches the highs, but as far as what I'm watching, I go, that is amazing to watch.
It's super entertaining and it's fantastic. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll tell my kids about it. I'll tell my kids about, the Dark Knight trilogy, but they're going to have to be a little older. They got to get the nuances. They got to...
That's true.
It's for a different generation.
That's true.
But I think everybody loves the violence of John Wick.
To your point
with the pencil.
And
any of us could ever.
The Dark Knight flipped a truck, like for real.
Now, yeah, all right. I will say this: the effects in the Dark Knight trilogy are probably. I like watching the behind the scenes on the Dark Knight.
Yeah, for sure.
Movies at some point.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Like what they did in the plane thing in the
that was real.
Dark Knight Rises was like mostly real.
They did that.
Like they were flying planes and they were like, okay, if we did this and hung a plane from another plane and just towed it along, what would that look like?
I think Christopher Nolan starts every writing session for those movies like, what can we do at the beginning that hasn't been done before? Like,
I think he just starts with, I had this crazy idea. Can we turn it into a movie?
Pretty much.
And he goes, that's just a scene. And he goes, let's make a premise.
Can we flip a truck? Like a semi-truck for real? I
want to get to the point where we just flip a truck.
How do we do that? How do we get to that point?
I want to blow up like everything.
In the last movie, I think they for real blow up that castle.
It's Inception, but he's like, I want to spin a room.
That happened for real. They did that.
I'm going to do it for real.
They did that for real. Okay, to your point, if I'm going on the side of John Wick, ever since the first one came out, all action movies are trying to be John Wick.
All the action.
We just saw Extraction on Netflix.
In the modern day, all these movies are trying to now be.
Yeah, but didn't all superhero movies try to get serious after The Dark Knight?
Yeah, but nobody can ever breach that height.
Doesn't that give more value to The Dark Knight then?
And that's why I give it's Jordan Bowles.
I mean,
I said I'm giving it its credit. I think it's up there, but I'm saying like, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna have a lot more fun watching, like
John Wick stuff.
These 120-point games a night than like the final score being
Jordan
like
dropping 60 on the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, he's gonna drop 60, but the final score is like
62,
100 to like I don't know 69,
62 to 7.
Any given night, like playoffs is one thing, yeah, but
I think we should acknowledge some of the other trilogies that people are gonna say like Back to the Future. People are gonna say Back to the Future. People are gonna say we mentioned Lord of the Rings.
So Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
The reason I can't put Lord of the Rings above all these other movies, though it's been
tell me
like praise and Oscars and people go, like it's one of the best pieces of cinema ever.
Mhm.
It's this grand epic. I get it.
Mhm.
But damn, it was long. Like, it was really long. And that shouldn't be a knock on a movie, but it felt like one for these movies.
Those movies last forever.
Like, if you're doing something that long, I feel like we should be able to get more character, like something going.
Mhm. Yeah.
And a lot of the Lord of the Rings universe has been expanded upon after the fact.
Yes.
And I feel like that's where the love is really at. You know, people love these movies.
And
but
people
they're
just
not-
love the books
They're
too.
not going here and being like, Lord of the Rings, we're fans of Lord of the Rings because the movie specifically.
Yes.
And yeah, DC has that same thing with like Batman, but
People just love Batman,
But
yeah.
these Batman trilogies stand by themselves as
Mhm.
this Nolan creation. It spawned its own style
Yes.
after with, you know, Man of Steel, and then influencing, you know,
Winter
the
Soldier,
extended DC
you know,
universe,
and even
like,
Marvel stuff.
Marvel stuff like in the future. So
Mhm.
that's like a different thing that it stands by
Mhm.
itself. Lord of the Rings, it's a lot.
The thing about Lord of the Rings is I had seen the movies like bits and pieces sporadically throughout the years, but one day they were giving the entire marathon on TNT. I'm like, you know what? I haven't. It was like a Saturday.
It was an entire day.
My entire day was watching the Lord of the Rings, and I'm not joking. By the end of the beginning of the third movie, there was so much shit that happened. I forgot everything that happened in the first two movies.
It's a lot.
I'm not
It's a
doubting
lot
that the
that
movies are
happens.
great,
The
but
special effects are great and for the time and all these things, but it's so much.
it's too much. There's like 82 different characters to follow. I don't know. There's just too much. I might not be giving it its fair shake. I might not be giving it its fair shake. I might have to go back eventually and just watch it again. But I can't. What's your feeling on Back to the Future?
I was actually gonna lump that in with like an era of, so we think of all these trilogies and kind of the commercialization and franchising of so many things.
Yeah.
It's more of this modern idea. Back in the day, they didn't have all these movies that were made.
It wasn't thought of
trilogies.
as a
It wasn't
trilogy.
thought
Yeah.
of that way. I think, you know, Back to the Future is pretty dope. Everybody remembers, in actuality, the second one. 'Cause
Yes,
the hoverboard
yep.
and the Nike shoes and all this stuff.
Mhm.
But it's this weird movie that it all blends in to one, and then the third one's kind of like forgotten a little bit.
I agree. Wholeheartedly, I agree.
So they're good movies. I've heard a lot of jokes about the premise being like
He
a
goes
little off.
He goes back and messes with his mom and
Messes
his
with
own
his
dad.
mom. Nobody
Yeah.
questions, you know, the
The morality of it.
morality of it.
Yeah, it's weird.
Who was this? Who was Doc? Really?
I think
He's involved in some stuff. He almost got Marty
Yeah.
McFly killed.
weird.
I was
Yeah.
like, nobody actually has questions. It's this fun movie, but I'm like, you know,
Why did
it's
they
a
have to
little weird.
stand in front of the car in order to make the car go 88.8 miles an hour?
And I'm like,
If that didn't work, they'd
but
both
it made
be
the
dead.
DeLorean famous, and I get that, and it's iconic, and,
Yeah,
and it has its place in history.
In my opinion, whenever anybody references Back to the Future, what they reference is in the second one, and then nothing from the first or the third one. I'm not doubting that those aren't good
also,
movies,
like,
also, but nobody.
There's like, there's some very questionable scenes at the end of the first one.
Yes,
There's a reason why Marty's dad ends up getting the mom because of a very.
Go back and watch the
Just
movie,
go back
kids.
and watch the movie. It's
'Cause
some stuff that's a little off. And
it's weird.
You know, it takes liberties.
Absolutely.
So,
But I love Michael
it's
J.
cool.
Fox. I'm gonna put
Michael
that
J.
out there.
Fox is awesome, but it's like one of those where it's fun to watch
Once.
once. Yeah,
Maybe the second one you can watch multiple times, but for the most part, you see the trilogy once and then
it's like
That's it.
I'm trying to give it like an NBA comp
right now,
in general, or yeah, it could be it right now.
the Utah Jazz.
You think it's the Utah Jazz?
Yeah, I think Michael J. Fox is Donovan Mitchell, and then with the team as a whole, they're great to watch once, and then you get tired of watching the team.
Yeah, you know, you heard it here.
Yeah, I mean,
Donovan Mitchell might fool around with. Never mind.
oh no,
Oh
oh
right.
no. I'm gonna throw one more out there. We mentioned it at the beginning, and people aren't giving it its due, in my opinion. And it's the Planet of the Apes trilogy
Planet
that
of
you
the Apes
mentioned at the beginning.
trilogy is really one of the most like underrated.
It's
trilogies.
Dawn, Rise, and War, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they got some really good stuff. First of all, the mocap stuff that they did for all of the
Fantastic,
apes
man.
was amazing.
Andy Serkis is involved because he does every
Andy
mocap of
Serkis,
everything ever. So
is honestly some other organism in human skin
yes, absolutely.
that puts on a different skin.
Remember at the beginning of Men in Black? Is that a trilogy? No, there's 4 now. Does that count?
I think Men in Black counts because
The new one
had
had nothing to
is
do
like
with the
a
first 3.
spin-off.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about Men in Black.
So Men in Black is up there.
3 wasn't great, but I mean,
Fun
the
movies.
first 2 are iconic. I mean,
Very fun movies.
yeah,
Everybody loves Will Smith.
yeah. Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones is amazing. You know, there's a ton of good trilogies.
I forgot about
One
Men
of
in
the
Black.
There's another trilogy that I think is like the Bill Russell of trilogies.
Oh God.
I'm like, keep doing this.
Please give it to me. I'm ready.
It's the Godfather trilogy.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean,
So it's
but those are also long
two
movies.
But see, there's a difference between Godfather long and like Lord of the Rings long. And I go, these like side stories are very entertaining. These characters are very fun to follow.
Okay.
They are long movies though. But the first 2 are considered by many two of the greatest pieces of cinema ever created.
I was gonna mention, do you
And
care
then-
about 3? That was my
Now
question.
the third one, it's a take. Don't know if it's hot or cold. I think it was a good movie. Sofia Coppola was a little rough, and I think that's a big reason why it's remembered that way.
She's everybody's
She
biggest
is
gripe about
so
that
bad.
movie.
You know, nepotism at its finest, but I
It was
think
supposed to go to
I
an
think
actual
it's a
actress too.
decent movie. Definitely doesn't hold up to the monumental achievement that the second one was. But
Absolutely, yeah.
we're talking, Pacino and like pretty much gangster movies.
Yes,
Like
yeah.
this thing that we just love. Like you don't get all these other movies without Godfather.
Absolutely, 100%.
It's the Godfather.
Yeah, 100
of,
of the Godfather. It's the Godfather of trilogies.
It's the Godfather of trilogies, guys. So
I mean,
that needs to get a shout out.
Absolutely, I can't deny that. Now, I'm gonna ask you a question and see if this falls within the criteria. Okay, do the Captain America movies count?
All right, this is gonna be an interesting one. I don't know if I have like a bias against Marvel movies. I like Marvel movies, but some of them are just a little weird. I
agree.
I'd like to count the Captain America movies as its own trilogy.
So we're counting like Iron Man 1, 2, 3, Captain America 1, Winter Soldier, Civil War, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think we can do that. Though they all connect, I think we can do that
Okay.
because they're all focused, like they're named and focused on those
Singular
specific
character.
characters.
Okay.
And shared universes can be shared universes,
Okay.
but it is what it is,
So how do you
That
feel
said-
about those trilogies?
That's the thing.
Oh, we gotta put Thor in there too. I forgot about Thor. Yeah.
They all, to me, this is why like the Dark Knight trilogy is like the best like superhero trilogy and one of the best trilogies ever. Even its weak point isn't really a weak point.
Okay,
It's a
I
really
can
strong
I
movie.
can definitely see that.
I think each of these Marvel movies, they kind of throw in, like they have the ability to throw in a movie that's just not the same level as the rest.
Totally agree.
And people just,
Just eat it up
eat it up.
because
So
it's part of the
so they
grander
set up
universe.
all right, so Captain America, I think, is the best trilogy in the Marvel, cinematic universe.
Okay.
I think the first one is, I don't watch it. It's not fun to watch.
I think it's
It's a good
it's
setup.
it's a good origin movie,
I
but
get it.
yeah,
But it's not.
nobody's watching that movie twice.
I'm not watching that movie again.
Nobody's watching that movie
Winter
twice
Soldier is probably up there as one of the best Marvel movies that they've come out with.
because it's not a superhero movie.
Because it's not a superhero movie. It's about
It's a spy movie.
It's a spy movie about two friends
Yep.
and espionage and brainwashing, and so
That premise
and it's got weight to it.
that premise is a James Bond premise. They took
It's got
that
some
from
really
James
good weight.
Bond.
I like that. And the third one, Civil War.
I do not like Civil
was
War.
really weird.
I do not like Civil War.
I
I'm putting
don't-
that out there right now. I do not like that movie. Putting it out there right now.
It had all these things. People love these set pieces, but again, it was a little weird. It
Weak.
was a little off.
I think it's weak.
Had one of the worst villains.
Oh my God, look at me started about Zemo.
Period.
Don't even get me
Like,
started
Baron
about
Zemo,
Zemo.
like,
Oh my
was
God.
it's the lead up to what Baron Zemo's reveal was like had so many holes in it where I was like, I can't agree with this.
I can't. The
But
fact
they had set pieces that people just love.
I think people remember that movie for two reasons. They remember the Captain America, Iron Man fight, which didn't last. Oh yeah, I think that's the two reasons. So Spider-Man coming in the fight, and I guess Black Panther for a second and a half. I guess that was like the cool.
It was
a
cool decent reveal.
They fought at an airport. I don't think nobody talks about how lame that is. They fought at Terminal and from Call of Duty.
I guess is like a thing. You know, people like fighting at airports.
I don't know.
Airstrips, looking Fast and Furious.
I guess it gets you away from the city and it keeps people from dying. But like,
it's not bad. But it was just one of those things where the set piece was fun, but
the story
it
I think
was kind of just a thing that just kept leading to like, oh, look at this scene now.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Go, yep, cool.
Yep, I agree with that.
Killed off major characters like very quickly. Quicksilver was like.
That was Age of Ultron.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't know. They all blend in together. I was just like, I'm upset about it.
I think of the Marvel trilogies, it probably is the best trilogy, but I think the bar is low for Marvel trilogies. So, I mean, Iron Man 1, 2, 3. Iron Man 1 is great. I think Iron Man 1 is still a fantastic film. Iron Man 2, I don't remember. Whiplash happens. And then
Whiplash. And then War Whiplash Machine was a good movie too.
War Machine. That's not what we're talking about. That's a different. But that's another podcast. We're gonna do another podcast about Whiplash.
Okay.
And then War Machine shows up, and then that's the movie. That's
Whiplash part of
Iron Man
trilogy?
2. Is it?
It's like Whiplash and La La Land and First Man.
And First Man. I would have taken Whiplash and La La Land, but I don't think I could take First Man in that group. Wait, is that part of Greatest Showman? Is that the same studio? Is that the same? No? Okay, I don't know. Just throw that. That's another movie we got to talk about later.
I forgot another underrated one.
What?
The X-Men prequel trilogy.
Oh.
The Reset. So,
First Class.
Days of Future Past, First Class.
And Apocalypse.
No, shit. But then they came out with
Dark Phoenix. We can't count it. Yeah, we can't count it.
Look, I like Dark Phoenix.
I think Disney purposely ruined that film.
Disney ruined that movie.
Can't nobody tell me otherwise that Disney didn't sabotage that movie.
They really wanted to all right, now we're going to be able to pluck these characters out and put them in our other movies, but we don't care about the rest of them.
They destroyed Dark Phoenix to save Captain Marvel, and that movie sucks anyway. So we lost two great movies because Disney wants to mess with stuff. I don't like it. Before we finish, I'm going to throw one more thing at you, and I know it doesn't count because there's more movies in the series. This is just my personal opinion, and I have weird opinions about movies that I love. I think that if Pirates stopped at the third one, it'd be considered one of the best trilogies. I think Dead Man's Chest.
I do consider them very fun movies.
I think
very fun movies.
The Black Pearl, Dead Man's Chest, and At World's End are
very fun movies.
Three of the best movies.
I do consider them to be, up there, very entertaining movies. I wouldn't consider any one of them a weak movie. So yeah, I can put it up there. It's like on a short list.
And maybe I love it
so much. If you had to put like a top 3 trilogies, just real quick, like rapid fire.
Number 3, Godfather. Number 2, I just have to put John Wick. I know it's recent. John Wick. Number 1, Dark Knight.
All right, yeah, put in, John Wick, number 1. Dark Knight, also number 1.
Mm-hmm. Wait, all that doesn't count.
And then
1A and 1B.
Yeah, and then
Maze Runner.
Yeah, Maze Runner. Of course.
Down for the Lagoon.
Maze Runner. All right, so that's been
I think we're gonna end it there. I think so.
We're gonna end it there.
Covered a lot. That's been this episode of Crowd Culture, guys. If you have any ideas of what trilogies, maybe ones that we didn't mention, go ahead and leave them in the comments, or I guess you could tweet at us at Edwin Prime on Twitter.
And I'm at @artisevil_, or you can also follow my photography. And
that's right.
Lucky Cat Visual.
We'll have the links in the description. You can find us there. Thanks for watching and listening, guys. Thank you so much. We'll catch you next time.
Yeah.